Well, my name's Matt Peterson, and I've been in recovery. I just hit 7 years about 2 weeks ago. It was 11/12/13 is my official clean date. Um, I was invited on here to kind of give an update. I was on the addiction series close to 3 years ago, and I just wanted to come on here and let you guys know that I'm still here. A lot of things have changed. If you haven't seen my original video, I would really encourage you to go to the addiction series and really dig deep into those. There's just a ton of stories, and they're all great. There's a lot of success, a lot of hope, a lot of encouragement, a lot of resources that you'll be able to find. And I'd like to encourage you to go on and check out some of those videos. Check out mine. Since I am giving an update, I would like you guys to have a little bit of background on where I've come from and what I've gone through in order to get to where I'm at today. If I'll go into it a little bit. So when I grew up, I'm an only child. My father, he was a Southern Baptist preacher, and I grew up in a great home. I had most of what I wanted, everything that I needed. And I guess my journey really started when I turned 11 years old. I was leaving church, and we had our main church on one side of Dixie Highway, and then our gym on the other side of Dixie Highway. And normally my mother would come pick me and my friend Brandon up after church from the gymnasium. And this particular night she wasn't there, so we decided to run across Dixie Highway and meet her over there at the main church. We didn't make it. We left the parking lot, we ran across Dixie Highway, got to the furthest lane from us, and we were hit by a church van. Nothing serious happened. I just got bruised up a little bit, and I had some issues walking because of the bruise, but nothing serious, no broken bones or anything. But the doctors gave me some Vicodin for the pain. At 11 years old, I knew that I enjoyed the way that Vicodin made me feel, but I knew nothing about addiction. I knew nothing about substance abuse or withdrawal or chemical dependence. I didn't know any of that stuff. So after my 2 weeks worth of prescription was gone, it was gone, no big deal. I wouldn't touch Vicodin for another 5 years. During that time, my group of friends had changed, and they taught me how to crush up pills and snort them, and that escalated to cocaine and crack and drinking every day and using pills all the time, benzos. And then once I became 18, I went to college, and I was the first one out of my group of friends who had gotten their own place, so it naturally became the party spot. And, it was a party every single night. I would wake up late, I would go to work, I would get home around 10 or 11 in the evening, and we would party till, 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'd wake up and do it all over again the next day. And eventually, I became familiar with withdrawal. I had been using opiate painkillers for years at this point, and I always had money and I always had them, so I never felt the discomfort of withdrawal or detox before. Once I figured that out, getting opiates just became that more important, because now I knew that if I didn't have them, I was gonna feel sick. Eventually, my tolerance had increased to the point where I could no longer afford it, and my friend Kyle and I, we had no choice, really. We had to take that next step, and we started to use heroin together. And then that continued for about 3 or 4 years. And during that time, I was homeless. I was on the run from the police. I lived in the backseat of a car that I stole from my parents. The battery died. It was wintertime, and the windows were down when the battery died. It was just a big mess. It was terrible. Eventually, the cops found me. I attempted suicide. When the cops found me, I kept some sleeping pills on me the whole time. So, when I eventually got arrested, I just decided I was just going to take all the sleeping pills and end it. And that's exactly what happened. I went to jail, and then I was given the opportunity to get clean. I went to a long-term inpatient facility. I was there for 10 and a half months, completed it. Everything was great. I was even told that, out of everybody that was there in treatment with me, that if anyone was to stay sober, it was going to be you. And that lasted about 2 months. I got out, life happened, I relapsed, used for about another year, and then God showed up in the form of a police officer for a second time, and here I am today. I spent 3 months in jail that time, and I've been good ever since. Life has happened, along the way, But I had that experience with my relapse, and I now know what not to do. Even today, I've been sober for almost 7 years, or a little over 7 years, and I can still look back on my relapse and see exactly what I did wrong, which then kind of leads me into the right direction. I now know I need to call somebody for help. I know I need to tell on myself if I start feeling like I want to use. If I'm going through something really stressful, it's not going to benefit me at all to keep it inside. It's better to talk about it or write about it. I love to write, and those are just some ways that I was able to, continue to maintain my sobriety and not feel the need to go back to opiates to kind of push that pain down and make myself feel better. So that's a little bit about my story. If you want to read about it, I've got my book here. It's Back on Track Marks, From Hopeless to Dopeless. I wrote this I hand wrote it over the course of about 3 years. What really prompted me to do that was my friend Kyle. We got messed up together. We did all of our drug use together. We, started using heroin together. We got clean together. We moved into a sober living house together. And one day I found him dead in the back of his van from a heroin overdose. And today, the 22nd of November, is his birthday. So it's weird that we're doing this today. Completely unplanned. He reached out to me for help. When I needed him, he put his life on hold for almost an entire month just to make sure I had stayed clean and I didn't do anything stupid. But then when he needed me, I decided to go to work instead. And him asking me for help was the last conversation we had. I found him dead in the back of his van 3 days later, and then I had to go tell his parents. And so that's something I still struggle with. But he's also my biggest motivator for continuing on and doing what I do. He's the reason why I decided to write the book. He's the reason I decided to become a public speaker. He's the biggest reason I'm here on camera right now. If that hadn't have happened, it's really unfortunate that it took that, but I'm doing my best to. He didn't die in vain. He's still, even in death, he's been gone for a little over 5 years now, and he's still helping people. He's still helping people. Yeah, you can find my book on Amazon. It's also on Barnes & Noble, Target, any of the big book retailers like that. But I'd really like it if you guys would check it out. There's a ebook version and there's also a paperback. I'm still working on the Audible book. But since then, on my last story that I did with the addiction series, I was talking about I just started a cooking business. I'm still doing that. That's been going really well. I've continued to gain new clients, and it's been great. Stressful at times. It's definitely hard running your own business, but it's very worth it. I don't know. Just looking back on being homeless and suicidal in the back, living in the backseat of a stolen car, to being a business owner, a successful business owner, and a published author and a public speaker. I've got all 4 of my kids are very involved in my life now. My oldest son, he's Christian, he's 8. And then Mila's my 7-year-old, Riley is almost 6. And then my wife and I have a 3-year-old daughter together named Marley. And kids. It's stressful, but they're the biggest blessings I have in my life today. When I was using it, I was fully prepared to die. I had made up in my mind that their lives were going to be easier without me in it, because I was just going to steal from them. I was going to be an embarrassment to them and the rest of my family. So just going from that to, wanting to see them and wanting to hug them and help them with their homework, especially during this time when everything's virtual. It's hard. It's really hard, but it's definitely worth it. I just look back to where I used to be, and during those times where I'm just stressed out and I just want to yell as loud as I can into my pillow, I just remember how bad it used to be, and I'm lucky that I'm still here able to help them with their homework and make them food. And beyond that, I started a website. This is a new development. I decided that I wanted to become a professional public speaker, and poor timing, with COVID, there are no in-person events happening at all. I had a lot of stuff lined up for the end of this year, but everything was canceled because of the COVID pandemic that we found ourselves in. But it's given me the opportunity and the time to focus on a website. It's given me the time to make business cards. I've really been able to kind of network and do things like this with Shane and the Addiction Series and other big recovery podcasts. So there was what was called the Night of Hope, the Addiction Series, and Shane Reinhardt. They put it on at an actual movie theater. They have been showing videos from the Addiction Series on the big screen. And never in my life did I think that I was going to be like on the big screen in a movie theater. But I mean, that was definitely one of the highlights of my sobriety, was being able to go to a movie theater, eat popcorn, have a Mountain Dew, and watch myself like on in a theater. That's just crazy. It blew me away. And I don't know, maybe we could do that again sometime, because that was a lot of fun. And beyond that, I'm just try to be, I don't know what you would call normal. I pay my bills. I have a car. It's not stolen. I own it. I don't live in it because I have a home. The book, the cooking business. I'm about to graduate from college. That's taken me 15 years to get a 4-year degree, but I'm almost there, and it's happening. May, I will graduate from Northern Kentucky University with a degree in psychology. It's just everything comes back to like your connection with people. If you genuinely care about other people, you're gonna find yourself on the path that you need to be on. Does that make sense? I don't do anything everything I've started to do since I've gotten sober, I've always tried to keep my motives as pure as I can. Like, I would like to be a public speaker and a published author, like a well-known published author, and I would like to make my living off of doing that. But it's not for the money. It's just what I enjoy doing, and I enjoy doing it so much that I would like to commit 100% of my time to doing just that. And when you give yourself, that kind of vision, if you have a dream that's as big as that, you'll find ways to make it work. But again, it all comes back to your connection with people. One will lead to the other, and you just keep growing. And the more you do it, the bigger your name gets, and the more people start to recognize it, and more people will start reaching out to you for more stuff. For me, I started, so when I was 13 years old, I smoked pot for the first time, I drank for the first time, and smoked my first cigarette all at the same time on the same night. I continued to use different substances from that night when I was 13 years old until I was 26. And over those 13 years, I burnt a lot of bridges. I destroyed a lot of relationships. I broke a lot of trust, and it didn't all come back to me just like that. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort. The best advice I could give is just remain focused on yourself, because the people that are going to want to come back into your life, they're going to need to see that change has been made. They're going to have to see that, you're not just in and out of rehab and you might be doing okay this week. What's he going to be like next week? Like, it's going to take time and patience from both sides, you and, your loved ones, your friends, family, kids. They're going to need to really see that you're changing and growing, and you're learning, and you're continuing to become a better person, and you're not going to go back to the way you used to be. That'd be the best advice I could give. It's just one step at a time. I know it's cliche, but one day at a time. You're not going to, again, 13 years of addiction and destroying everything good in my life. It's not going to come back immediately. Like, it took a long time. I think the biggest, I knew that I had my family's trust back. It was Christmas. It was just over a year. It was about 13 months since I had gotten sober. And I knew that I had gotten their trust back because it was Christmas morning. I was putting together my kids' toys in the living room. Everybody else went to the kitchen. And I look over and my mom's purse, the same purse that she used to keep locked in her trunk or slept with because I was stealing everything from her, it was within arm's reach of me in an empty room while everybody else was occupied with other things. And that was the moment that I knew. And to date, that's been the best Christmas present I've ever gotten. If you guys are interested in hearing my entire story, again, you can buy my book, Back on Track: Marks from Hopeless to Dopeless, on Amazon. I've also, I'm sure Shane, he'll put in the comments my website. It's mattpetersonrecovery.com. If you have an event coming up, I do Zoom or in person. I travel, so if you're interested in having me come speak at your event, I'd love to. That's what I've dedicated my life to. So if you guys would like to hear more, please check out my book or shoot me a message. You can find me on Facebook, check out my website. You can contact me through the website or Facebook. I really have no preference. My phone number's on there. My email's on there. So get a hold of me.